The dawn of civilization. Primitive. Dangerous. Exciting. The handwriting is on the wall. If the human race is ever going to amount to anything, it needs
the most civilized caveman I have ever seen.
Look who's come out of his cave.
Hey everyone, this is James from Cave Dweller Music. I am here with my co-host Brendan. Today we have a special guest for you. We are very lucky to have with us on the call Dan Lorenzo. You may know him from some of his past projects, but today we're talking about his new project, Patriarchs in Black. It is the new album, My Veneration, that's just dropped. Fantastic release. We want to discuss it. We want to hear about that. We're also going to talk about some of the past bands he's in. We'll get into that in a little bit. But thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate you taking the time.
I appreciate you guys having me. Thanks.
Anytime. So just for anyone who doesn't know the project or hasn't heard anything about it, do you want to tell us a little bit about Patriarchs in Black and what you do in the band?
So Patriarchs in Black is kind of a different sort of project. It's a bunch of different singers, like 12 different singers between the two albums, and maybe like 10 different bass players. So the only constants are myself. I play guitar and I write the music.
Okay.
And then there's Johnny Kelly from Typo Negative and Danzig. He plays the drums on every song, and I play the guitar on every song. And this is our second album, and I was in a band called Hades, was my first band I started. And then Nonfiction. Then I did some solo records. Then I did The Curse with Bobby Blitz. And the last couple of years, I've been doing Vessel of Light and Cassius King. But my last two albums are Patriarchs in Black, Reach for the Scars, and then the brand new one, Patriarchs in Black, My Veneration.
And what was sort of the inspiration behind this particular project? And what made you want to make something of this sound and style?
Not really so much an inspiration, just a necessity that I've been writing so many songs, and we did 4 records with Vessel of Light in 3 years. And then the singer, Nathan, moved from Cleveland to Austin, Texas. And I was like paying for him to fly here and paying for him his hotels and stuff. And we did like 10 shows, and then COVID hit. And Nathan moved to Austin. And then I had a band called Cassius King with Jason McMaster from Dangerous Toys. And we released 2 albums quickly. And I just kept writing and writing. And the guys, everybody else is like, everybody I work with is either a professional musician or they have a bunch of other bands. So I just kept writing songs. So I had been thinking about asking Johnny Kelly from Typo Negative and Danzig to play drums for me for years. And I actually mentioned it to Bobby Blitz from Overkill, and Blitz said, man, he'd be the perfect drummer for your riffs. And Blitz was right.
That's great. Yeah. And just you've been enjoying working together since then?
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, we did one record that came out last summer, and then, the other ones came out in, less than a year and a half later. So yeah, it's fun.
That's awesome.
Definitely sweet.
Yeah. That
I want to
make a difference to the music.
A quick comment. So I was listening to Reach for the Scars and in my car, and quite often, sometimes like I hit a bump and my CarPlay kicks off and kicks on the radio, and the album ends with Kashmir, and I was like, God damn radio, fucking CarPlay, whatever. And then I was like, whoa, like, wow, that's God damn, it was awesome. It was a great moment in my little life right there. So
thank you. Yeah, it's like similar to the Zeppelin version, but different,
Yeah. I was like, wait, what? Nah, huh? And yeah, it made me do a double take.
So you've done some pretty cool collaborative stuff over the years, but obviously I want to talk about the single Veneration. Working with DMC, how did that come about?
So there's this guy in Florida who makes videos. His name is Craig Cifola, and he was working on an Exodus home video. And the Exodus drummer, Tom Hunting, I don't know if you remember, he got cancer a couple of years back. Mm-hmm. And I guess one of the things on his bucket list was to put out a solo album of cover songs. Okay. So it's all cover songs, but in the middle of one of the songs, it's called Jungle Love by somebody, it was in the Prince movie, I think. DMC, who's a big metalhead, he did an original rap for Tom Hunting from Exodus. And they needed somebody to write something underneath the rap. I think they asked a few other people. I'm not sure what the story exactly was, but all I know is I went in to record something behind DMC, and Tom Hunting loved it. The video guy Craig loved it, and then DMC loved it. So we filmed a video for the song, and it was the first time I ever met DMC in person. And really nice guy. I'm like, man, would you want to do something together one day? And he's like, send me some music. So I kept sending him things, and nothing really hit him. And then when I sent him this song Veneration, he's like, that's the one. He's like, I want to rap to that one, or I want to be on that song. So
Right.
and when I asked him how much money he needed, because I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be rough. He's like, no man, I don't need any money. Just make sure I get my fair percentage for publishing and sound exchange. I'm like, awesome. Just great guy.
Hell yeah.
That's really cool. I'm a big fan of Run DMC, so I thought that was really cool that
Yeah,
you managed to make that happen. And also, I think that style of collaboration between heavy metal and old school hip hop, it was different in the 80s and 90s to how it is now. Like the blending, I don't know, the blending of the two genres doesn't sound the same now with a lot of modern stuff. But I like the way that you guys did it. It was more of an old school feel.
I appreciate that. And what's so exciting is I was just texting the other night with DMC, and he's like, hey man, my producer's got another piece of music I want to send you for you to play guitar on. I'm like, this is so cool. Like I'm texting DMC.
Oh yeah.
That's
He's
really
my
cool.
buddy now, it's awesome.
I mean, I feel like it was having the mashup and the vocals and all that, but it wasn't like a traditional mashup,
Yeah, I mean, he wrote something completely original to it, and and he asked me like, what's the song going to be about? Like, what's the singer? The singer is Mark Sunshine, and I just told him basically, the track Veneration means, I'm referring to music. Veneration means respect and reverence and love, and it's what do you love though? What's your veneration? And in this case, it was music.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. So, because when I listened to it and I was just like, wait, this doesn't sound like what I thought it would. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it had a bunch of different styles in it, but it just came out really cool, I think.
Well, right. Because when you think Run DMC, you're like hip hop and like groovy beats and and it wasn't like that. It was just like, wow, this is sick. It was really good. So
cool, man. Yeah, D loves metal, so I would definitely work with him again. But everybody was really excited to work with him.
Hell yeah, yeah. No, it was like I was expecting something different. You know what I mean? Just because of you read the words and then you hear it and you're like, oh shit! It was really fucking awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
With the album at the moment, I see this digital stuff, but are you going to do physical formats with vinyl, cassettes, CD, any of that sort of thing?
Yeah, the CD came out on a German label called MDD Records. It'll be available in America the first week of November.
Okay.
You can pre-order it on Amazon now, and then the vinyl it takes so damn long to come out, and I just finalized the vinyl deal like 2 weeks ago, so the vinyl probably won't be out until March or April. But the first album came out on vinyl and CD as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
We've talked about this on the show with many guests. It's crazy how long the delay is now with vinyl, how it's blowing out. Because it used to be like a couple of months max, you'd have it in hand, and now it's like half a year minimum.
Yeah. I mean, in America, I think right now they're at 9 months behind schedule.
Wow.
Still,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like this problem happened like 3 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, everybody uses COVID as an excuse for all the supply chains.
Right. But we're beyond that. Like, I had that problem, trying to find plastic cups. But now I got so many plastic cups, like, it doesn't, I don't know what to do with, you know what I mean?
It's a little different, though, because the supply chain issue with vinyl isn't just the actual pressing issue. There's a sourcing issue for the materials to actually make it. But the other thing is the popularity rise in vinyl has caused a lot of this bottleneck. So all these big artists with these massive orders are getting in, like Taylor Swift and Adele and that sort of stuff, and they're completely jamming up the system. I mean, you look at a band like your size, Dan, and it's going to be like a limited sort of run with a reasonable number of vinyls that you're going to be putting through. these people order like hundreds of thousands of vinyl at a time. And they're the same plants that you're competing with as a small artist. So
Right, right. This is true. You sound like you know about what you're talking about, Mr. Sweetlove.
I kind of work in the supply chain space a little bit with my job. So
Okay.
Really,
Yeah.
we've talked about it. Like, should we invest in a vinyl press and start doing small shit?
Yeah, it's really cheap from what I hear.
Super. God, dude, I looked into it. It was like $300K for a single press that would like be half automated.
Mm.
So someone still has to be there to do stuff.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Well,
that's why.
I wanted to ask as well. Obviously, you worked with Bobby Blitz in the Coast. How did that come about? Because I'm a huge Overkill fan, so I'd love to hear how that collaboration came together.
So Blitz and I, we came up in the same scene in New Jersey, and the original version of Hades played a couple shows with Overkill, like probably as way back 1982, 83. And then when the real Hades came out, we put out Resisting Success in 87. We did a couple shows with Overkill, but my second band I formed was Nonfiction. And Blitz and Dee Dee were both really big fans of Nonfiction, and they were nice enough to take us out on tour in Europe and America in 1993. And Blitz and I just hit it off. Out of all the guys, there's two different bands, and plus we had Savatage there. The guy I stayed and talked with the most after the tour was Blitz. We got really friendly. And when I released my first solo album in 2001, he told me how much he loved it. And then he sang a song on my second solo album called Nice Being Alone. There's a song called Too Fast for Hate that Blitz sings on. And then around 2006, he said, he was ready to do a record with me. So we started jamming. And next thing you know, immediately we had like 3 or 4 songs and we recorded them. And we got a record deal pretty quickly. And we only did one real show together. So that's why a lot of people don't know about The Cursed, and it's out of print now. And Blitz and I, we talk every now and then. I'd like to get it re-released, but he's not going to do it for like $500 or something, and he needs real money to have his records out there, which I understand.
Yeah.
But and then I asked him to sing on the Patriarchs In Black album. But his mantra is he doesn't want to be one of many. Like I sent him a song. I'm like, do you like it? He's like, I love it. I'm like, so will you sing it? And he's like, for who? For Patriarchs of Black? I'm like, yeah. He's like, nah. He's like, you got 10 different singers. I don't want to be one of many. I'm like, oh, all right. So yeah.
Well,
So that's my story with Blitz.
That's cool, though. I mean, it's cool that you worked with him.
yeah.
Did you were saying before bands you played with? Did you say Savatage with the V, Savatage?
Yeah, Savatage from Florida, who became Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
I love Savatage.
Okay, well, their last ever European tour with Chris Oliva, we flew to, let me see, all the bands landed in London, and then the first show was in Munich, I believe, and MTV Europe was there. And Chris Oliva asked me, he said, hey, man, my equipment is not here yet. Can I, the show's starting. Can I use your equipment? I said, of course. He's like, I'll tell you what. He's like, are you a drinker? You party? I said, not at all. And he said, all right, we're quiet. You want to be on our bus? There's some more room in here. Why don't you stay in our bus? So I was the last, Chris Oliva, before he died, I was the last guy who toured Europe and stayed on a bus with him.
Wow.
And, he was a great guy.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Whole of the Mountain King is one of my favorite classic albums. Like it's just so good. John
he was
Oliver's
so
vocals
into
on
it.
that.
I remember Chris would play me stuff on the bus. Like I'd play him a Nonfiction song, and he'd be like, and he'd play like, and I always liked every Savatage, whatever the album was called. I always liked every title cut so much,
Right.
They were one of those bands that had a couple of vocalist changes, and I could never get into like what's his name? Was it Zachary Stevens?
He's a really nice guy. And that's he and I we toured with when Zach was in the band. But I know if you're a purist, you like John Oliva, I guess, right?
Yeah. It's just he's just got more of like a bite to his sound because I always felt that like Zachary is a little cleaner.
Yeah, he definitely is.
Yeah, I missed the like because John had the high pitched stuff, which was awesome, but he also had that other like the deeper vocal style that had more of a bite to it.
Yeah.
So when we talk about older stuff, is there any newer bands that you've kind of been playing with or touring with that have stood out to you that people should maybe check out?
You know, as I get older, man, when I was younger, I remember being so into Kiss and old Aerosmith and AC/DC, Highway to Hell, and then Judas Priest, and then Slayer and all those bands. But as I get older, I feel like maybe I don't even like bands anymore. I just like songs by bands. No one band
Huh.
really sticks out in my mind that I really would like. No new band that would I think that, oh God, I'd love to go on tour with them. Honestly, I feel bad saying that, but it's the truth.
All right.
Well, what about songs? Like, what are some tracks that have like hit you like, in the last sort of year or so?
Oh man, if you looked at my Spotify playlist, you'd be shocked. It goes from like Slayer to who were we just listening to? Bobby Smurder. A lot of hip hop, a
Mhm.
lot of Dr. Dre, a lot of Ice Cube, and then a lot. I'm into like classic rock. My wife loves yacht rock, and I'm okay with that. So um, like I'm trying to think like the song by Static X, STEM. I freak out for that song, but there's no other song by them that I ever really held on to, that I really grasped onto. And it's like, so like I love Clutch. I'd say Clutch is a band, or Alice in Chains I would love to do shows with, those
Right,
type.
right.
Yeah, I just saw Alice in Chains is touring right now with Guns N' Roses.
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah, which should be some heavy hitters on that one.
Definitely. That's not a cheap ticket, huh?
No, no, that's stadium stuff, like the
Yeah.
stadium prices.
Yeah,
Yeah.
$150.
Yeah.
Brendan, did you have some of those questions you always like to ask?
Well, so listening to Reach for the Scars and My Veneration, Reach for the Scars had more of like a classic kind of like total rock anthem all the way through it. What was with the what inspired the little change in direction with the new album?
Well, I think it's always dependent on what the singers come up with. Like, there's only 2 songs on Reach for the Scars and 2 songs on My Veneration where I wrote like the lyrics and the melody as well as the music.
Okay.
So really, everything else other than those 4 songs, the singers wrote the songs with me. So it's kind of always dependent on what the singer comes up with. And so far, we've been lucky. If we work with like, I have to count it. I guess it's like 10 different singers. Nobody came up with anything that were like, that's no good. Like we actually were really happy with what everybody came up with. And I was thinking about it. It could be because instead of asking a singer to write the music and lyrics for 10 songs, you're only asking them to, write the music and lyrics for 1 or 2 songs. So like you get their best stuff. And
Okay.
I was thinking, like, some of my friends, like, would you do The Cursed again? Would you do Vessel of Light again? And I'm like, right now it's really fun working with, 5 or 6 or 7 different singers each album because you get so many different styles. So there was no conscious effort on my part to do anything different. It's dependent. I write the music, but the singers come up with the lyrics and the melody, for the most part, for most
All
of the
right.
songs. So it's just, it's like if we asked somebody else to, like, if we asked, I don't know, to say Don Henley or, somebody like from the Eagles to sing, they would come up with something commercial. But then if you ask Phil from Pantera, you get something really heavy, So it was always like,
All right.
it's always like, my riffs, and then depending upon what the singer comes up with, that dictates the direction of the song.
Okay. All right. So that totally makes a lot of sense now. Hell yeah.
Cool.
Because like not knowing how it was written, you're like, I mean, they're all amazing, and then knowing your love for single tracks, it makes yeah, that's great.
Thanks, man.
Hell yeah. Then what has have you ever had like a musician that you haven't used anything? You don't have to name them if it's happened or
Yeah,
whatever.
we had a few different singers try to sing "Immigrant Song," the Led Zeppelin cover, before Mark Sunshine stepped in. I think we had 4 different people sing it, and it just didn't sound right. I mean, it's a hard song to sing. "Immigrant Song" was a single we released, as well as "Friends," another Zeppelin cover with Militia Vox. In between the 2 albums, we released a couple cover singles. So Yeah, the covers, we've had people like they sang them and we're like, it's not right. It's not working, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Nice. Have you what has been do you have like what's your favorite like cover song? Like
My favorite, well, I think the version, if you check out Patriarchs in Black Friends, we have a video for that. It's Militia Vox singing it. And that's pretty hard to beat because it's like the first time in my life I worked with a female vocalist singing lead, and she just crushed it. And the song was actually nominated for a Grammy a
oh
couple weeks
wow.
ago. We didn't make it to the final round, but it was in the consideration pool. Like when they pick like 400 songs or 450 songs for consideration, and our song was like I think number 320. So we didn't make it to the next round, but just to say that we were up for consideration for a Grammy,
Oh yeah.
yeah, for Patriarchs and Black Friends. So you guys, you got to check that out sometime. The video.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll definitely check it out for sure. No, I feel like I've listened to it because I've tried to prepare a little bit by listening to all your tunes, you know?
Yeah, it's out there for sure digitally.
Nice. Um, Going around in, playing all kinds of live venues, what's been your favorite venue from like past days, and then favorite venue from playing with your new band now?
Well, there's a club in New Jersey called Dingbats. It's owned by like the nicest guy in the history of the world. But one of the clubs I miss, where my wife and I used to hang out, we used to, believe it or not, now we wake up so early, but we used to go out on Sunday nights at like we'd start our evenings at like 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night, and we'd head to the Limelight in New York City. And that was something about that was just so cool and magical. And there was like a little VIP room that held maybe 50 people, and it wasn't the easiest thing to get into unless you were a real pretty girl, or maybe you were one of the guys in the bands that was kind of somewhat popular. So
Yeah.
we'd hang out there, and I missed the Limelight. Those were fun times. Although now I go to bed when I would have probably just been arriving to the Limelight.
Nice. And then, what's
What
your?
happened to Sweet Love? Did he fall asleep?
I'm here. I just
Oh,
letting
okay.
Brendan ask some questions. I'll jump back in a minute.
I wanted to make sure James was still there, man.
No, I'm here.
Yeah. So, what do we got here? I was going to ask. So, what is your favorite song to play live?
Let's see. I don't know if you guys heard of my other band, Vessel of Light, but there's a song called Meat and Bone and The Son of Man. Those two were like so fun, but I haven't played any shows. Patriarchs in Black hasn't played any shows because Johnny Kelly's the drummer for Quiet Riot every weekend, and they're playing. So I haven't played any shows since literally when the COVID shutdown happened. Vessel of
Oh
Light
no
was
shit!
Oh, wow.
All right.
yeah. Patriarchs in Black kind of can't play live because there's 10 different singers, 10 different bassists, and everybody lives all over the world. Like we have a singer from Switzerland on the song My Veneration. He sings part of it. So Patriarchs in Black hasn't played any shows yet. It's more like almost like a Steely Dan, like a studio.
Totally gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
I
Has
realized
there?
we were. Oh, sorry, Brendan. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was gonna say or ask. Is there anybody that you want to work with that you haven't yet?
Yeah, Phil from Pantera. I text with Rex Brown, and I would never ask Rex to ask Phil. But before the Pantera reunion happened, I was like, maybe I got to get a hold of Phil. And I couldn't get a hold of him. I never got a hold of him. And nobody ever really went out on my behalf. But my band Nonfiction opened up for Pantera in New York City in '91. And I met Phil a year later. And he actually sang me one of my songs, which is really thrilling. But Phil is definitely one of my favorite singers. I know it would never happen at this point. Financially, it just isn't feasible. But I'd love to write a song with him.
Hell yeah!
What's what do you think of the lineup for that Pantera reunion tour? Like, do you think they picked the right people? Like, there's a good selection.
Yeah, I do. I mean, there's probably was nobody else to pick other than Zach. And I was texting Rex when they first played their couple shows, and I was like, "Man, this is really fucking good." And he was like, "Hey, man, like, what are you surprised?" I'm like, "I don't know. Like, I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, yeah.
But I guess Charlie, I don't pay as much attention to the drums. I just know Zach Wild was the perfect choice. And I do think it's weird that, the way everything left off with Dime and Vinny not wanting a reunion.
Yeah.
But I guess for the fans, it's making the fans happy. And I guess Dimebag's fiance gets some money. And, when I listen to their videos, I mean, it fucking sounds great. Sounds really heavy and sounds, true and original to what Pantera was.
Yeah, I mean, I can see both sides of the argument for and against it. Like, I get that, like, they said what you just mentioned, that they didn't want the reunion thing. But at the same time, I see the other argument that there's a whole generation of listeners who are fans who never had the chance to see them. You know what I mean? They've never seen the band perform. All these younger guys who discovered Pantera after the band broke up have never had a chance to see the music live. So I understand.
Yeah, I agree with that. I see both sides as well.
Yeah. And then with the Phil thing, like, you can say what you want about him, but what I will say about him, he's always been a massive supporter of the underground.
Yep. Sure.
And he's really gone above and beyond to put like bands on bills who haven't really made it or who haven't gotten attention. So I wish there was more of that in the scene from bigger names like that. Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, he definitely looks out for the scene. You're right.
And so did oh my gosh, I'm blanking, from Black Dahlia Murder. Brendan, the vocalist. Trevor. Trevor was an amazing advocate for underground music.
That's cool. I don't know him, but that's awesome to hear.
He purposely picked bands that had no exposure to tour with them on their like national tours and stuff, which is
really nice.
And the local scenes.
Yeah, local
that's
scene
awesome.
Bands. And he actually wrote articles and submitted them to metal magazines covering bands that no one had heard of to get them publicity.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, really cool guy. So it was sad when he passed.
Yeah.
He died.
Was that? Yeah. How long ago was that? 2 years now, Brendan?
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
He committed suicide a couple of years ago in May.
Oh, that's terrible.
2 years ago, and it shocked everyone because it kind of came out of left field from a lot of people who knew him said they didn't see it coming. So it's a shame.
That's terrible. Yeah.
It's definitely one of those things that you just really never know what's going on with people sometimes.
Definitely.
Right. Yeah, I met him once, and he was like the nicest, friendliest dude. Like, it was after a show. I said, "Hey, like, love the set." And he's like, "Do you want to get a picture with me?" And he like offered, and then took a picture with us and stuff. So yeah, really cool dude.
That's awesome.
Brendan, did you have any food questions? I know we always have some stuff lined up there because you guys had some overlap. I heard before we started recording about a pizza place that's a must visit.
Oh, some Pepe's?
Yeah, Pepe's. What's that about?
Well, what's your experience with Pepe's?
That's just probably my favorite. Frank Pepe's is probably my favorite pizza place in Connecticut. I mean, I'm a pizza snob. I go to the part of America, and I don't really love the pizza, but New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, man, we've got it. We've got it for pizza and bagels, I think.
Absolutely. I definitely think you're right about that. Pepe's is awesome. Like New Haven, they have a couple new locations now, and one's like right near me, so I'm super lucky about that. So I can just get Pepe's whenever I want, really. It used to be I have to go down to, travel like half an hour, 40 minutes to get there. No, it's more like an hour. But either way, so like pizza by the coast of Southern Connecticut, New York, and all that, and New Jersey. I feel like New Haven style pizza, which is Pepe's, is the ultimate style pizza.
No, I'll give you guys that. The pizza I've had in the Northeast is definitely better than anything else. I've been throughout the Southwest, like I've been throughout the West Coast, and it's just not as good as the stuff in the Northeast.
In May when we meet up for Maryland Death Fest, if I can, I'm gonna fly a pizza to us.
There's no good pizza in Baltimore? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that there isn't any good pizza in Baltimore, but it's not a New Haven style pizza. They can try. It's just not going to work.
Dan, I realize we kind of haven't really talked about Hades yet. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that project?
Well, that was the first band I ever started, and I started that band before I even started playing guitar in 1978.
Wow.
Hades started out as a cover band, and we were on the first ever Megaforce compilation album, Born to Metalize, in 1983. Then we were on Metal Massacre 6 in 1984. And then Hades released our first album, Resisting Success, in February of 87. A year later, we did If at First You Don't Succeed. And then we toured Europe and we broke up. And that's when I formed Nonfiction. But then Hades did get back together for 3 albums for Metal Blade in 1999, 2000, and 2001. And most people know me as, if they've never heard my new bands, they kind of know Hades.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, you've done such a variety of different things over the years. It's really cool to see this, your full discography spread across, laid out.
Yeah, and Hades was a thrash band, but what's near and dear to my heart is, I've been pretty much playing like what Nonfiction started when we started Nonfiction in the summer of '89. It's kind of like similar to what I'm doing now. It's kind of like these doomy drop tuning riffs, and it's kind of where my heart is at. So that's what I've been doing for most of this time since the summer of '89, is playing, music that sort of sounds like what I'm doing now. It's just that's what comes naturally to me.
Brendan, did you have any other questions there before I hit the big one?
Ooh, no, we covered that. We're good there. I guess New Jersey.
What's the big one?
You'll see. I ask everyone that comes on the show gets asked this question, so it's a fun one.
Okay, I got another interview at 9:30, so let's hear the big one.
All right, let's do the big one. Big one is, if you were trapped on a desert island with only a solar-powered Discman and 3 CDs that you could listen to on repeat until you got rescued, what would you want to have with you?
Very easy. AC/DC Highway to Hell.
Okay.
Kiss. I don't know am I allowed to put Kiss Alive on there because it's a double CD. If I'm not, I'll put Kiss Rockin' All Over. Okay.
I'll allow it.
So we'll go with Kiss Alive and Aerosmith Rocks.
Okay. Classic rock vibes.
Yeah.
Nice. It's your time. So
nice.
that was like the final question, really. So last thing I want to ask you is, if people want to follow your social media, your projects, or like buy any of your music or anything like that, what's the best places for them to do that?
Well, it's everywhere digitally. So it's Patriarchs In Black on Instagram. I'm Dan Lorenzo CK on Instagram, but the music is everywhere, every single platform digitally for Patriarchs In Black. The CDs available, whether you want to use Amazon or somebody more of a mom and pop place, which would be better for mom and pop. Okay. And then the vinyl for Reach for the Scars is out on Faster and Louder Records in the UK, and the German label Golden Core are releasing the vinyl in early of next year, hopefully, for My Veneration.
Fantastic!
Hell yeah,
awesome! That's really exciting. Well, thank you so
gentlemen.
much. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers.
Really appreciate talking to you.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me.
Hell yeah.